So you're on keto and you're really missing your mashed potatoes. You miss the flavor, you miss the carbs, and you just want that buttery, creamy goodness back. Well, I got you because today I'm going to show you how to make the best creamy mashed cauliflower ever. It is keto. It will totally satisfy your mashed potato craving and you won't be able to tell the difference. So come on, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started making our mashed cauliflower. Believe me when I tell you, you will not miss eating mashed potatoes. I can guarantee you that. So what I have here is a whole head of cauliflower that I have pre-washed and cut the bottom off, and what I'm doing now is just giving it a rough chop. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect because we're just basically cooking this to soften it up, and then we are going to start our mashing process. Now in my water I have half of a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil and a pinch of salt. And what I mean by a pinch of salt, just a little bit of salt, because you do not want to over season this. Okay, you do not want your mashed cauliflower to come out salty. I would much rather do all of my seasoning during our mashing process. Okay, so I'm just giving this a rough chop as you see, okay, and adding it to our pot. All right, now the wonderful thing about this is that it doesn't take long to actually cook. All right, so we are going to cook our cauliflower for about 5 to 10 minutes. Then we are going to let it sit in the hot water for another 5 to 10 minutes with our stove off, of course, to just naturally finish its cooking process because we don't want it too mushy. All right, making your cauliflower too mushy will just water it down, and that's not what you want to do. All right, to keep that texture like a mashed potato, that's what you have to do. Okay, all right, so I'm going to add the rest of these guys in. Oh boy, trust and believe me, you will not miss eating mashed potatoes. Okay, all right, now my secret to making mashed cauliflower is I like to also add to my boiled cauliflower, as it's boiling, 3 whole cloves of garlic. Okay, and what that does is it softens up the garlic. So when we are mashing everything together, it's just going to be one beautiful melody. Believe me, I would really love for you guys to try this recipe. You won't miss eating mashed potatoes. And the wonderful thing is it is keto. It is low carb. You will look and feel amazing. So, and well, that's pretty much it. So please stay tuned. Come back and see what the finished product looks like. Alright guys, welcome back. So our cauliflower boiled for a total of 5 minutes, and then I turn off the heat and let it sit in the hot water for another 8 minutes or so. So now what I'm doing is I'm using a slotted spoon to take it out of the pot and into my mixing bowl. Now remember, if you're just tuning in, what we have here is 1 whole head of cauliflower and 3 whole cloves of garlic. I also added a dash of salt and half a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. You can use whatever oil you want. You can even use coconut oil if you like. Yes. Okay. Okay guys, so we have totally removed all of the cauliflower from the pot and our garlic, and I'll be back to show you the mashing process. So stay tuned. All right, guys, so welcome back, and now we are going to start our mashing process, okay? So what I have here is an immersion blender. If you do not have one of these, you can use a food processor. If you do not have one of those, you can absolutely do it manually with a mashed potato masher. So it doesn't have to be a gadget like I'm using here, okay? So do not let that scare you from actually getting in the kitchen and cooking. So let's get started. Okay, what I'm just doing is an initial mash. Okay, and I'm just going after the big chunks. Yes. Okay, and it'll get a little bit easier once I start adding in our other ingredients. Okay. Just tossing this. Amazing. Smells so good. Now what I'm going to do is add half a cup of heavy whipping cream. Okay, remember when you are on keto, you want the extra fat. Okay, we are going to add a mix of our seasoning, which is half of a tablespoon of salt, half of a tablespoon of ground black pepper. We have a tablespoon of paprika. We have half of a tablespoon of paprika and half of a tablespoon of dried parsley. Okay. And once we've added the whipping cream to it, it's mixing just a little bit better. Okay, so like I said, I'm just pulsing it for the, okay, I'm just pulsing it in the beginning. Okay. Letting it go. It's getting very nice and thick. Now, I have also reserved about a cup of the broth that our cauliflower cooked in, well, the broth that it produced, just in case this mashed cauliflower is a little too thick and I need to thin it out, then I'll do it with that versus plain water, because the juice, the cauliflower juice has flavor, extra flavoring. Okay, I'm just going to mix it. That's coming out so beautiful, you guys. Okay, to that I have 1 tablespoon of fresh chopped parsley, half of a tablespoon of fresh parsley. We have 1 tablespoon of fresh parsley and half of a tablespoon of fresh chives, and we'll just go ahead and mix that in as well. This smells so amazing. If you remember, we did add 3 cloves of garlic to our pot of cauliflower as we were boiling it, and as it's mashing, it smells so good, and this will give it so much flavor. That is also a secret of mine that I do when I'm making regular mashed potatoes. So go ahead and steal my little secret, White Ocean. Now, the last thing I am going to add here to this, remember we are making a keto, low carbohydrate, high fat mashed cauliflower. That is the key to keto, okay? So what I have here is 2 tablespoons of butter and 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. Okay, my butter has melted, and it doesn't take long for your coconut oil to melt either. We're going to add it to that and mix everything together. And we'll give it a taste. Okay, oh my goodness. This smells so amazing, so amazing. And what I have with me is a clean spoon, and I am going to taste for texture and for flavor. So let's go. Let's see. Oh my God, you guys. Wow. Oh my goodness. This is absolutely the truth. I'm tasting this. I tasted it. And I did not miss having mashed potatoes in my mouth at all. This is absolutely amazing. And it is so good for you. Oh my goodness. Wow. I am totally floored. This is so good. You guys have to try this recipe. You will love it, but most importantly, your waistline will thank you. This is so good. If you guys are on keto, or if you guys are doing a low carb diet, or if you're just watching your carbohydrate intake, you do not have to suffer and sit there and miss your mashed potatoes when you can just simply substitute it with cauliflower. This is so delicious and so good. And once again, if you do not have an immersion blender, please, you can use a regular blender. A food processor, or an oldie but a goodie is good old-fashioned elbow grease, and get in there and just mash it manually. So thank you guys so much for joining me this episode of making mashed cauliflower. I can't wait to share more recipes with you guys. Please give this recipe a try. Believe me when I tell you, you will absolutely love it. Bye.